Hello and welcome back to the pinnacle of the European Championships 2018. We're here in the top four.
Yes, we are. This is the match that every player works towards this entire year. This is the most important duel that any European player will play in the whole season. You know, if you don't go to Worlds and you're not playing on the final stage for the first place, this is, for most people, the absolute pinnacle of dueling.
Yeah.
One of these players is going to Worlds. The other is not. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it really is. But what isn't as simple as that is our statistics. So these two players are obviously very skilled. We talked about Luke Parks last round, who is piloting Goki. He has an 80% win rate. That's just baffling in terms of the actual skill level required to attain such a win rate. And then Nicholas Meyer here, who is also playing against him, he's got a 66% win rate. That's still pretty high. However, he's made it this far.
He's having
that kind of win rate.
An amazing tournament run for him.
Yeah, absolutely. There seems to be something exciting going on in the crowd. Not that I know what that is.
There's an interesting token booth photo being taken, and that's all I'll say about that.
Okay. Tell us a bit about these deck lists, Matt. Are they pretty standard? Are they interesting? Are they, what's going on?
Yeah. Looking at Nicholas Meyer, his deck is not particularly anything off the wall, really. He's just playing a pretty standard Trickstar Sky Striker deck.
Okay.
He does have the 3 copies of Impermanence in his...
I was just going to say, those are in the main deck.
In the main deck. Other than that, nothing too out of the ordinary that you guys haven't already seen today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday. And also, Luke, we just saw him in the previous round with his Goki deck.
Yeah.
He's done his combo 10,000 times. If you haven't got a hand trap, he's not going to mess it up.
That's a lot of times to have done the combo.
I'd question his exaggeration.
He said it himself. Matt, he said it himself. So, as for the matchup here, the specific matchup between Goki and the Sky Striker Trickstar, it is favored 59.8% towards the Goki player.
So about a 10% advantage to Luke Parks, plus the additional 14% of it. Well, you don't add percents that way, but he's got an 80% win ratio. He's got the deck advantage in theory, and this is based on, 300 and... How many games? Was that
301 games, yeah, between these two decks.
So, it's pretty solid statistic.
Yeah.
Luke is probably favored in this, and this could mean that Nicholas is the underdog for this story.
But I'm sure that Nicholas has played against many Goki decks. I know for a fact he did play against one last round in the top 8 against Jake Quincy.
He sent him home.
Yeah, he sent him home.
He's going home.
He's going home.
All the credit to Jake. He had a great run. He put a lot of work into it, and he knew it was going to come down to either him sitting in this chair or, as we now see it, Nicholas.
Yeah. So our statistics, although they may be, statistics, it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen in this upcoming match.
The cards could come out in any way. We don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly. You have something else to talk about, Matt?
No, I was going to talk about the Noble Knight stuff, but it feels like that's a bad time. We can wait till after the match.
We can wait till later?
We could delay the match a little bit longer, or we could just talk about those later.
All right, well, without further ado, Thomas Rose and Oliver Gurman, take it away.
Thank you, guys, and I hope you at home are ready. I'm not sure they really hyped it up. This is it. This is the most important match of the day. Nobody's going to care about the finals. This is it. This is going to be the deciding match. Who's going to go to the World Championship in Japan?
I'm excited, and I'm not even sat at the table.
Exactly. So Luke Parks, who we just saw take out Marcello Barberi, one of the Italian juggernaut, is going up against Nicholas Meyer from Germany. Bit of the underdog here, but he could be flying to Japan, and he will not care about statistics in this one. He's going to be like, I don't care if I have 70% or 5% win ratio. If I win this match, I'm going to fly to Japan, and this is all it comes down to.
Yeah, this is the last match that matters for these players today. The final is just for pride. Each of them is their final representative from their country in this top 4.
Yes.
So we've got a little UK versus Germany grudge match here.
We got ourselves a ball game. You just heard what it means. It's coming home. It means that English players are getting on a plane and flying back to England. This is hopefully what's going to happen in the top 4 match now with Nicholas Meyer going up against Luke Parks. Let's take you to the table and get our game on. All right. So here we have Luke on the left, Nicholas on the right. Luke is a little bit more familiar with sitting in the feature match area. He's just seen that. These other two guys, Matt and Luke, it's getting confusing. Everybody's got the same name in England for some reason. Matt and Luke from Konami, who just talked about statistics, told us that Gouki is the favorite going up against Trickstar. However, in the top 8 we had 4 Gouki decks, and now there's only 1 remaining. So the 2 Sky Striker Trickstar, or the Sky Striker Trickstar Mech Knight, or the Sky Striker Pure deck, those are the other 4 decks in the top 8. They overcame the Gouki decks, and that might show us that some players went with a version of Sky Striker Trickstar that is Gouki proof or something like that.
Yeah, we see Nicholas here has opened up with 2 copies of Called by the Grave, which could be pivotal for shutting down the first turn combos we'll see from Parks here. No big play on the opening turn for Nicholas, only Trickstar Licorice in his hand as the monster, so he'll be hoping that those Called by the Graves and the 1 copy of Infinite Impermanence, all 3 set to his side of the field, will be able to prevent Luke from making any real board.
Right. Luke starts with a chunk forward. He's it looks a little bit like he's playing around the Reincarnation there with the set card, which is the Living Fossil.
So Luke here is going to be discarding a card for the effect of Aqua Dolphin, and I don't think he's going to be hitting anything from the hand for Nicholas Meyer. Luke doesn't know, of course, that the interaction he has to play through here is all set to the other side of the field, not actually in hand.
It's also a bit unusual. That's not what you usually see. So Luke Parks might be in a similar situation as something we saw earlier, where that was actually Jake Quincy, where Neospace and Aqua Dolphin still gave him a big advantage, that he knew that he doesn't have to play against any hand traps. It's quite the opposite here, because there's something waiting in the back row of Nicholas Meyer.
Parks, interestingly, opts to use the 2 monsters already on his field for this first Xyz summon. He could have gone with the Living Fossil to bring back a monster from the graveyard. One of the few ways to get the monster summoned by Living Fossil to not be banished is to use it for an Xyz summon, but instead he opts to go straight for this play. I think for certain here we're going to see activation of Called by the Grave, targeting the effect of Suprex in the grave, and also quite likely that the Infinite Impermanence will be used for the on-field effects of Isolde.
So there we see the first Called by the Grave, and you mention it.
Will Nicholas use the Infinite Impermanence here, or will he hold out for the second effect of Isolde? It looks like he's only activating that 1 card in response to Luke Parks.
It certainly looks like it. Do you agree with the play?
I think, yes, certainly in the situation that's got to be the correct play. It would be a bit greedy to activate the Infinite Impermanence here. That would be to assume that Luke would have no way to put a second warrior onto the board. Of course, if you take out the effect of... Oh!
Now he does.
Was that all in the same chain?
I'm not sure, because that looked like he was doing that when he was about to put the Called by the Grave to the graveyard.
So here Luke will be able to use that Living Fossil, summon out a second warrior. Isolde uses one of the 2 materials to make another copy of Isolde, and then he will be able to use that effect on the field to special summon the Octastretch from his deck.
The pressure is really on these 2 guys. We mentioned it. The winner flies to Tokyo. We cannot emphasize and stress this enough. This is more important than the finals for these guys. I've seen a couple of European Championships in my career, if you want to call it that, and the final is always the most relaxed game in the European Championship.
I think we've actually overlooked another piece of interaction for Nicholas. He has the second copy of Called by the Grave set to his side of the field, and he'll be able to banish that junk forward in response to the activation of the Living Fossil.
It's got so much disruption, and it's coming from the back row, which is completely unheard of in this tournament. Normally it's always from the hand, and the Neospace and Aqua Dolphin even took a peek at the hand. Not quite what Luke Parks was expecting here.
So Luke here will want to activate the effect of his Isolde, sending the Phoenix Blade to the graveyard just in order to be able to keep it alive on the field for 1 more turn. If he doesn't, he knows that he'll lose it in the battle to the Licorice that he's already seen in Nicholas' hand.
Right. So that information could play a role here.
Yes, but in doing so, he's sacrificing the ability to ever summon a Gouki monster from his deck with the effect of Isolde, because he won't have any equipped spells left to do so.
Tough decision.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, but one of the bad outcomes is even worse than the other, so he uses the effect of the Isolde, pays the cost for no effect, just to get that 300 attack equip spell.
Right. Phoenix Blade.
He will, of course, be able to connect for 1,900 damage here as well. A small reward for investing his last equip spell from deck in the play.
As you sometimes call it, that's not very important here. It's more like a side note, really.
Yeah, that's not the main aim that he was going for there. It's just a small bonus.
You had a nicer word for it in the past. I just can't recall it right now. It's going to come back to us, actually. No worries. No pressure.
The Droll Lockbird is not what Nicholas wanted to draw there.
No, not at all. And generally speaking, Trickstars are not known to best super strong monsters on their own. They usually have to find ways around those monsters. And here, Nicholas doesn't have another way, so he just passes play again.
Luke doesn't have anything that he can do here.
Yeah, he's got 3 hand traps, which is kind of good news because he's got something on the field. Just goes in there again, and I think that's going to be it. He's just going to pass play again.
I don't quite understand how Nicholas is at 4,500 life here. I think there might have been some mistake with the life calculation. I would expect to see 4,200 life
Scapegoat
for
is
Nicholas.
a big difference maker here.
Yeah, that could be huge.
He's going to be taking another attack. That's very likely, and he's not going to mind that. Oh, he even actually tries to stem the bleeding with a Trickster Licorice in face-down defense position.
Luke needs to draw a Gouki monster here, and he's found one.
Ooh, that's how you do it.
That could really turn things around. There is, of course, a Droll Lockbird in hand for Nicholas Meyer. He may choose to use that to prevent a huge chain of Gouki effects coming off here, but just having the first one will still enable some new plays for Parks.
Yeah. The life points should be 4,200 for Nicholas. That will get corrected eventually. Not sure when exactly, but just for you guys at home, 4,200 is the correct life points at the moment.
Okay, so the Unicorn comes out. It will be interesting to see which card Parks chooses to return to the deck.
Goes for the monster, and I think that Nicholas Meyer is happy with that decision.
Yeah, if he targeted the Scapegoat, it would simply have been chained.
Of course, but he wants those 4 tokens, doesn't he?
I don't understand if it would have made much of a difference in this situation.
I think he's going to be forced to activate them anyway.
The Scapegoat will certainly be flipped up, and Parks doesn't really have much ability to deal with monsters, even if they get summoned before the end phase. So whatever happens, we were going to end with just 4 monsters on the field there.
Alright, so here's an attack. And Nicholas Meyer is taking it like a man.
I think this outcome actually ends up favoring Parks slightly with lower life points for Nicholas Meyer at the end of all things being resolved and fewer Trickstar cards left in play.
Alright, and here we see the Scapegoat, the big Scapegoat in the end phase. There's 1 custom token. The token just now, those custom tokens just now were the reason why Matt and Luke lost their composure for a second. I'm not sure who it was, which guys were it, but they had a very striking pose for their personal tokens. And I think they will be remembered for a very long time.
I worry that there's an element of one-upmanship involved in the token creation.
That would certainly be interesting, because that would be a competition on its own. And less people would be watching the finals if that was really going through. Okay. So Nicholas Meyer trying to rebuild in the most literal sense of the word. Going for those link plays. Whereas
Nicholas just drew the Trickstar Licorice that was shuffled into the deck by Parks on the previous turn, which was certainly not what he would have been hoping to pick up there.
No, I would be surprised if that was it. But what about those hand traps? We got Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as well as Droll and Lockbird. Luke Parks must be feeling quite good about this whole thing.
The Ash Blossom and the Joyous Spring might be quite useful. The Droll and Lockbird, much less so. because we can see from Nicholas that he doesn't have any search cards. He would have been playing them already if he'd drawn any.
Yeah.
Luke at this point is just praying that he can draw into another Goki monster. He has that starter piece that he needs in the Super X, but it doesn't work properly unless you have another one monster to accompany with it.
And Nicholas Meyer is shaking his head. He doesn't seem all that happy here. But for the time being, he's got control over the board.
Yeah. Nicholas choosing just to swing in for 5,800 damage here.
And
Close the gap a little bit.
do you think that was the optimal play from Nicholas Meyer here?
In a really simplified game state, just maximizing your damage output can be very strong. You need to shorten the game as much as possible and try and put yourself on top in that life point battle. If things get scrappy towards the end, small burn effects from the Trick Stars could really come into play.
Okay. We saw some opinions on the chat that seemed like he was missing some opportunities here. Could have gone for something bigger, for something better. Either way, he's happy with...
Luke has drawn a very good card there in Terratop.
Ooh, that's a good top deck. That's a good top deck.
Does Nicholas have any hand traps left? I don't know.
No, he's completely out of cards in his hand. He's just forced to watch his cards on the field do the dirty work for him, which is Licorice and Topologic Bomber Dragon. So not that much interaction here. And even more, what's even worse for him, Luke Parks knows exactly the options that he has at the moment.
So yeah, even with the MX Saber Invoker used previously for Parks, he will still be able to special summon that Terratop and get himself 2 link materials alongside the Goki Super X.
Luke Parks is calculating, basically. He's going through the motions in his head. And I think now we're going to see his play unfold.
I don't think Nicholas has any sort of interaction available to him here.
So he's at the mercy of Luke Parks, who's not known to go softly on you with his 82% win rate. I think he feels like this is his tournament and he's trying to get that ticket to Japan. So he's going to be waiting a little bit longer until he's coming home. He's first taking a little detour to Japan. But it's too early to tell. Lots and lots of things can still happen here.
We're still in game 1.
Still in game 1, absolutely. With almost 30 minutes on the clock.
I think Luke will want to normal summon that Goki Super X and start getting his searches as quickly as possible, but it seems like he's going straight for link plays.
He is indeed. And Nicholas Meyer, just look at his face. He doesn't look very happy. He looks like, please stop doing what you're doing.
Goes directly for a link 3 there. This allows him to build his chain in such a way that he can protect from... I'm not sure if the way that he resolved his chain was the same way that he built it there, but with no cards in hand for Nicholas Meyer, it doesn't make a great deal of difference at this point.
Maybe it did it erroneously on purpose just to further demotivate his opponent. He's like, I know how to do this better, but in this moment I can do it anyway, in the worst version anyway. Alright, he keeps going.
And the summon of Phoenix there, I think, is enough attack points to close out the game.
Big field. We have 2,300 for Nicholas Meyer at the moment. I'm not 100% sure if that is correct.
Even if that is correct, Luke Parks has more attack than that on the field already.
Here are the attacks. Nicholas Meyer is doing the magic shuffle. And then he realizes that is it, and we're going to game 2, with Luke Parks taking the first victory. And he seems to have a couple of fans in the audience. Some people are actually sitting with their back towards the feature match, and now they're turning around. That can't be good for your back or your neck. But either way, you're going to see what's happening down here. And we got Luke Parks just one more duel away from punching the ticket to Japan.
Yeah, so as always, we go back to looking at the side decks. What are we expecting to come in for each player here? We think that Nicholas is likely to be choosing first, but in the previous match we were mistaken in thinking that Marcello would play first in game 2, and in fact, he told Luke to go first.
Yes, that is true. And we also had Marcello going first and then telling his opponent to go first because he didn't draw into anything.
No, I believe that in that game we were mistaken in our commentary.
You think so?
Yeah, I spoke to the players afterwards, and I understand that Luke was the first to play in that match.
I'm confused because I thought that Marcello had that Luke was drawing a 6 card in his first turn. But I might be wrong. Either way, Nicolas Meyer probably going first. So not sure about that Winged Dragon of Ra. He's only got 1 copy in his side deck. That's kind of unique, especially considering that the matchup between Goki and Trickstar Sky Striker should be in the favor of the Goki players.
Yeah,
so
that may come back to bite him. We can see that when he first wrote out his deck list, he did have the full 3 copies of Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode in his side deck, but taking it down to just 1 with a last-minute scribbled addition, he swaps out his 3 Ghost Bell for 3 Ghost Ogre, and 2 of his Winged Dragons of Ra for 2, is that Heavy Storm Duster? My German is not great.
That is indeed Heavy Storm Duster.
Okay.
He is, however, playing 3 copies of Evenly Matched, a card that we only bring up in these discussions in between duels, because we say that we haven't seen it all weekend for the most part.
No, it's been really quite absent.
We've seen it one time, but dragged down into the grave, made sure that it wouldn't do anything.
The real dream crushing drag down to the grave. That was such an exciting deck if it had its 1 copy of Evenly Matched out the board.
I'm still so angry at the player that I don't even remember his name. All right, we did look at the side deck of Luke Parks before in our previous feature match. However, that was a bit of a different story because that was a Goki mirror match. Now he's going up against Sky Striker. Are any of the cards going to be coming in here? I don't see Twin Twisters coming in.
The Twin Twisters are very likely to see play here.
They are?
Ghost Reaper will not. Ghost Ogre will not. Gadala, the Mystery Dust Kaiju, that will not come in. Red Reboot is another card that might come in here. We know that Trickstar Reincarnation can be a hugely powerful card, taking away key cards from the hand for the opposition of the Trickstar player. And also, Parks has seen that his opponent here is playing Infinite Impermanence, so having more outs to that card could be very powerful.
Okay. And also, I guess there are also there are a couple of cards that he wants to take out, so it's somewhat easy to make the space here. Right. With that, Game 2. Luke Parks against Nicolas Meyer. If Luke Parks wins the second game, he is going to the World Championship. If Nicolas Meyer can force a 3rd game, and he's going first, so his chances aren't too bad, he's still in competition, and he's going to have all the momentum going into that 3rd game.
So we see here the only hand traps in either player's hand are for Nicolas Meyer. So not only will his turn 1 plays be resolving unimpeded, but also he will have the Drollen Lockbird in hand ready for when Luke Parks tries to hit back.
So many hand traps, and as you just pointed out, Luke doesn't really have anything to stop his opponent from going off.
Yeah, if I were to try and launch in early, I'd say that it looks like this will be forced to a game 3.
That would be interesting for our viewers at home, of course, and the many, many viewers in the feature match area here, which is now taking up 1/4 of the entire location because so many players are watching this and feverishly watching these 2 guys.
Yeah, the only slight drawback for Nicolas here is that he doesn't have any access to the other side of the deck, that is the Trickstar cards.
Yes.
He's playing solely on the back of his
Sky Striker
engine.
Yep. All right, but the Sky Striker engine is not to be underestimated. We have seen that this weekend at this tournament and even at previous tournaments, mostly in the national season.
Even a top deck called by the Grave here won't be able to help Luke push through his plays because he's facing down 2 copies of Drollen Lockbird.
But so far, Luke Park seems relaxed enough. He's another one of those players that seem a little unfazed.
He'll be very happy with his opening hand. He's got 2 extenders in Junk Forward and Suprex, so he can start.
Now he's got a Marauding Captain on top of that.
Yeah, he's got lots of options for fielding multiple warriors right at the start here. But he doesn't know that he's about to get drolled and that he's going to have to wait another turn before really making any impact on the board.
So Luke does not start with reinforcement on the army. And that would also be pretty bad because that would set him up for the Drollen Lockbird combo.
Yeah, Luke will be saving that reinforcements of the army for later unless it's needed right at the start.
He's not going to risk losing to a 2-card combo in the semi-finals of a tournament where he's just 1 win away from his big goal here. All right, we see the MX Saber Invoker. Seen that card before.
This may bait out the Ash Blossom from Nicholas Meyer's hand here. And if he does, then no, instead the Widow Anchor being flipped up.
That works. That's an alternative. He doesn't get to take control because he doesn't have enough spell cards in his graveyard. However, he's now got 2 in his graveyard and he's setting himself up for some big plays, possible big plays in the next turn, if he gets to see a next turn, where he then could get the full power of the Sky Striker engine.
Yeah, so Parks launching into his backup plan, normal summon on the Suprex to special summon the Octastretch from his hand. It'll be interesting to see which monsters he chooses to link away here. He could use both of his Gouki monsters, position them at the arrow point of Shizuku, leaving the MX Saber Invoker in his extra monster zone. It'll be, if he reads the Droll and Lockbird in hand for his opponent, that will be the way that he can get the most value out of this first turn, because he gets 1 full chain of 3 searches at that point before the effect of Droll and Lockbird comes in to prevent any further searching.
Is that something that is obvious to see, or would you say that it takes a lot of experience or something to realize these interactions?
Well, Luke will have been playing against Sky Strikers all day, so he'll definitely be aware of that extra monster zone available to him. It looks like he's considering exactly that play here. Yes, he goes for the 2 Gouki monsters and puts it into that additional extra monster enabled zone, the linked zone to the Shizuku.
Well done to him. We can just quickly look up what he played against, because we didn't do that before. Played against the Rogue deck, against Sky Striker Trickster, Gouki Mirror Match, Invoked Mech Knight, Pendulum Magician, Sky Striker Trickster, Gem Knights, Gouki Mirror Match. That was against Jay Quincy. That was the first defeat for him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that might well be correct. His mirror match against Jake Quincy in round 10.
Then he drew against Tom Feargoods in a Gouki mirror match. Won another 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 Gouki mirror match. I'm not. By the way, this is not like some system shutdown on my end.
He's won.
He went up against
7 Gouki mirror matches in a row.
Yeah, like all day he's only playing against Gouki. Yeah, the entire day too, he's only playing mirror matches and nothing else.
Until this point.
Until this point. So he might as well have forgotten how to play against Sky Striker Trickster, who knows. That's quite something. An entire day where you only play against the same deck.
So here we see that Droll and Lockbird has come down, as we predicted, but Luke has really made the best of the situation there and got 3 searches in before the Droll and Lockbird is able to resolve.
Wow. That's definitely not bad. It's nice that he saw that immediately, or almost immediately. I'm not sure how fast he saw it, but as soon as you were done voicing that entire plan, that is a possibility. And of course, you don't under the same stress level as he is right now.
No, we have it easy sat here at the desk.
Yeah.
If we get it wrong, we can just say, oh yeah, no, the play that they made was better.
Yeah.
But
the worst thing that we have to deal with sometimes is people calling us out on Twitch and saying that we messed this up. And
but it doesn't matter. We can mess up every play so long as the people at the table get it right.
Exactly. And so far, Toyn, #Toyn is a boss, because our table judge has been ruling this excellently this entire day. And yesterday, on top of that, with like only 1 break over the course of 2 days. So well done to him. All right. So things are shaping up nicely for Luke Parks. He's suddenly got a full hand together with 2 monsters on the field, despite being under the effect of some hand traps.
Yeah, and even with those hand traps in play, he chooses to play on, activating that Gouki rematch to try and build more of a board.
It's very interesting, and if you look at the face of Nicholas Meyer, he's not happy. He's definitely not happy. He's nervous. It's definitely one of the emotions going through him right now, with so many times that he's touching his face, because he's just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And he doesn't have a lot of hope right now. And so
Yeah.
he might need the Twitch chat to send some energy his way. That worked pretty well earlier when Marcello Barberi was asking for the same thing.
But I'm obviously supporting my friend here, Luke Parks. We've played a lot at home together, and I really want to see him do well.
That's all right. You don't need to be impartial, despite
That's
some
good.
despite some people claiming something different. As long as you're not bad mouthing a player, which I haven't experienced yet, we're all good. All right.
So it looks like Luke's going to be able to push quite a bit of damage this turn.
How is he pushing under a hand trap? That is so unusual.
So yeah, it seems like he's chosen to stop advancing his plays at that point, just leaving the Goouki monsters on the field there. And that will mean that whilst they can't resolve this turn, if Nicholas chooses to summon a board and start attacking, the destruction of those by battle will be able to resolve on the next turn.
All right. So Nicholas Meyer needs something and fast.
Yeah, this isn't the typical Extra Link builder fort that we used to, but it's still a little castle.
It is. It absolutely is. He's got engage.
This first engage will just be for the search, but the one that follows it up immediately thereafter will also pick up a draw as well, which may change the hand quite significantly.
Yes.
We still see, so far, there is no access for Nicholas Meyer to the Trickstar side of the deck, and he really needs to get there as quickly as he can.
And now with the Hornet drones, and he did draw into an infinite impermanence, that as well. So more disruption for him, but right at this very moment he doesn't need disruption. He needs some action to wipe his opponent's board as much as possible.
But with 2 copies of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, each of them drawing a card as well as getting a search,
Yeah.
Nicholas is going to end up with both a very wide hand full of cards and also some new things arriving that might open up the other half of his deck.
And the other thing is, worth noting, Luke Parks has got nothing to stop any of the plays that Nicholas
no
Meyer is going
interaction
through.
this turn.
And while Nicholas Meyer is fairly certain that that is the case, because he knew that the other 2 cards that Luke Parks was holding on to didn't come down earlier, and he knows that Luke was searching for Goouki Headbutt.
Nicholas Meyer here just praying to find his way into that Candina or Light Stage or Terraforming, and then I think he might be able to launch straight into a Lilybell loop.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that. That's, of course, an option.
What's the monster in Nicholas' graveyard? Is that a... No, it's not any... He has no Trickstar cards yet.
No, so far he's only seen Sky Striker.
So perhaps not. He would need to find his way into both the Lilybell and the Candina to be able to make that play.
It sounds somewhat unlikely. And he's now summoning, for the first time we've seen this weekend, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit.
We see a Link 3 here. Typically that will be the Nightmare Unicorn coming out.
And again, Nicholas Meyer shaking his head. He doesn't seem very happy with this whole thing.
Does he have any targets left in his deck for that last engage? If he doesn't, then it must surely have been a mistake taking it.
He's got 1 Widow Anchor, 3 copies of Hornet Drones, and 1 copy of Afterburners.
I'm quite certain that he must have sided out his remaining cards, because had he not done so, he surely would have activated that last copy of Engage to search for one of those cards and take an additional draw. So maybe the side deck has really caused problems for him
Weakened his
here.
main deck here, yeah. So now he's left with Infinite Impermanence as well as Droll and Lockbird. And again, he's at the mercy of Luke Parks, and you don't want to find yourself at the mercy of a player with a win ratio of more than 80%. That's suicidal, my friend.
I think we're going to see Luke again beginning his turn with multiple Goouki triggers on the same chain to get a lot of effect activations off before that Droll and Lockbird can come down.
That would be crazy if somebody tells you that, hey, I was Droll and Lockbird twice in the same match, or in the same duel.
In the same game.
In the same game. And
Consecutive turns.
And I got to search for like 5 or 6 cards or something. The person you're telling the story to is gone. Oh, called by the grave.
Called by the grave. I think this is over for Luke.
This might be the all-deciding card. We see Called by the Grave, and of course, big reaction from the crowd. This puts the pressure even more on Nicholas Meyer than before.
We know, of course, that there is 1 Infinite Impermanence remaining as a last bastion of hope for Nicholas Meyer, but that Droll and Lockbird is not going to be doing anything here.
So, Luke Parks, he might have this. He might have this. The UK players are excited about this. They're going to be sending 2 people to Worlds. This would be the first time ever for the UK, a country that is developing so nicely in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the second most players from the UK coming to this event this weekend to make it helping to make it the largest European championship ever.
So here we see another 3 searches potentially off an assault. Oh no, instead we go straight for the Nightmare Phoenix. He fears the effect of that face down card. Just taking 2 searches.
And Luke is going through the motions. Maybe that was a bit of a nervous move here, but I think he's still got this. I still think he knows what's happening.
This is going to be the end of the line for Nicholas here. He'll activate his Droll and Lockbird in response to the resolution of this chain. Cooled by the Grave will come slamming down straight away, and that's going to be game over.
That could happen. We're not here to fortune tell sometimes. We're here to call the match, my friend. So let's see. Nicholas Meyer, he's not feeling great about this. Certainly not after the crowd was giving a big response to that draw by Luke Parks.
Parks doesn't even want to negate the draw.
He's finding a different way to victory, possibly. Nicholas Meyer completely stripped of all options.
That's enough damage for game.
Enough damage on the board. Here are the attacks. Nicholas Meyer is just...
And Luke Parks is going to the World Championships.
And Nicholas Meyer again is writing down the life points. Maybe he's waiting for his opponent to miss an attack, to just say, yeah, 2 attacks is enough. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm going to be a good sport here. But
2 attacks and the effect of Gouki Twist Cobra.
But either way, Luke Parks is pointing it out to him. He's like, yes, I am going to attack with all 3. Yes, that is enough damage. And now we got it. And there's a roar going through the crowd. We see not just players from the UK, but from actually all over Europe, like Dutch guys and Belgian guys. Everybody jumping up and giving a big standing ovation, or at least half of these guys giving a big standing ovation to Luke Parks, who definitely deserves to go to the World Championship.
Yeah, our first World Championship competitor from this 2018 WCQ. Congratulations.
Yeah, history is being made this weekend. Not just the largest ever European Championship of all time. 1,624 players showed up. We just, prior to this round, we left with only 4 players remaining. So these guys were better than 1,600 other players. Now we're down to just 2. Both of these guys will feel like a winner no matter what happens in the finals, because both of these guys are going to be representing Team Europe in Japan at the World Championship. Congratulations to Luke Parks. I think that is all from us for the time being. We're going to head over to Luke and Matt, and they're going to celebrate their countryman from the UK. So let's hear it from the analysts.
Thank you very much, Ollie and Thomas. Celebrating our countryman, as Ollie put it.
That was a great game. We did manage to see Luke Parks taking it in 2 games.
Yeah,
running him down.
Absolutely amazing. Didn't even need the call by the Grave.
No, it's just so confident. It's like, no, I've got this. I've got just a Twist Cobra Super X, and I've got way more damage than you have life points.
Yeah,
locking himself in for the World Championships in Tokyo.
Yeah. I mean,
no, you're good, man. You're good. He's just asking, do I need to come on against that? We just had you.
We just had you. No, I think it's best to give him some chance to prepare for the finals. However much we've been downplaying it over the weekend, it's still the most kind of prestigious title that you can hold within Europe, apart from being the world champion.
Hey, you won it because it guarantees you a feature match first round next year.
Yeah, that's another good point.
And ultimately, you want to be the best player in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Just getting to the World Championships is the big prize that the players worry about. But once you get there, it's like, I actually won the title. I've come this far. Yeah. Why on earth would I not push all the way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of the players will be taking a few deep breaths to prepare for this final matchup. In all honesty, I've seen a lot of the finals be, some of the best games because both of the players are much calmer. It's kind of...
Yeah, when the edge is taken off, you're not like accidentally knocking your graveyard, and you're not worried about, oh, what if I make this play, what if I make that play? But still, it's a huge game, and it'll be super interesting to see if Luke Parks is able to take it all the way home.
Yeah. What's interesting is that we do have 2 different decks in the finals. We do. Yeah, we have Goki versus the Trickstar Sky Striker deck.
So the 2 main decks have made it into the finals. We're not going to see a repeat of the UK National Championships or even the NAWCQ.
No.
No pendulums in sight. It's just going to be a straight face-off to see who was right.
Yeah.
Which deck was
Absolutely.
the correct choice?
Yeah, I know that our statistics are telling us that
Goki is favored.
Goki is favored, but that's not stopped
wouldn't-
anyone.
I wouldn't be putting all of my coins on that, and considering we've got to the finals, like, yeah, there's a slight percentage chance that it's going to go Luke's way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are very much prepared for the finals here. We just need to allow the players a few more minutes to compose themselves. But in just a few minutes, we're going to be back for the absolute pinnacle of the European Championships to find out who is next to take that crown. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage from the 2018 WCQ in Berlin. And we're here with our second Giant Card winner. What's your name?
Simon Hataf from Israel.
Hi Simon, how do you feel right now about winning Link Kuriboh?
Amazing, it's my first Giant Card tournament. It feels amazing. Yeah, it feels amazing.
Okay, what deck did you play?
Goki and Nightmares with a Sky Striker.
Okay, did you play the same deck for the main event as well?
No, I changed a lot of cards, but the same deck, the same Goki Sky Striker.
Okay, what cards did you change, for example?
I played 3 junk forward and I removed them out. When I lost 3 times, I draw 2 junk forward and no other Goki, and I didn't play Invoker in the extra deck.
Okay, and did it work out? Like, were the changes good for the public event? Did it pay off? Like,
no, I didn't.
Were the changes, the cards you took out, the cards you changed, did they work for you? Like, what did you add?
Yeah, sure. I add the Phantom Knight Brigandage. This is a trap card. I can special summon this from where the turn I set him. If I don't have trap in the graveyard. Okay, so it's like a free special summon from hand. It's warrior monster. It's in good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the Giant Card events in general?
Sorry, I didn't.
How do you feel about the Giant Card events in general? Like, are they a good event? Are they fun to play?
Yeah, it's really good event. I really like them. Before I play in 5 Winamate, I won 4. And Giant Card really, it's not the same, but you know.
It's a good prize card.
Yeah, it's a good prize card.
Let's talk a little bit about your guys at home in Israel. How big is your community in Israel?
We are like 140 players in Israel. We have in Israel, in Tel Aviv, we have a place that's called Freak. We play there once a week. Yeah, we play that a lot, and we have the regionals, and we have the national championship. I took 7th place in the national now.
How many players of Israel are here at the WCQ?
12.
Okay. I think you have a European champion as well. You have a European champion as well. What's his name?
For this,
I think Ida won it.
Ida Rafael Marcus won the championship.
Is he here as well today?
Yeah, he took the national.
This year again. Okay.
After I won him in the Swiss.
Okay. Do you have any final words? Any shoutouts?
No, thank you. Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much. Have fun with your card. Enjoy your card.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of the 2018 WCQ in Berlin. We are already on Sunday and we're here with our first Giant Card winner. What's your name?
Gabriele Mocciaro from Italy.
Hi Gabriele, how do you feel right now?
Yes, I feel really happy because the main event was not so good, and this side event gave me a good result with the deck I played, that is Goki, and I'm really happy for this.
Okay, you won Ghostbell as a Giant Card. How do you feel about winning Ghostbell?
Yes, this was my favorite Giant Card, and so I really like it. It's beautiful, and yes, I'm happy to have win this card.
Okay, what deck did you play?
I played Goki Nightmare because I believe it's the best deck of the format, because it has a good matchup against Sky Striker Trickstar, and also is really good against any rogue deck. And then I really like it because it's a combo deck, and I like combo deck.
Okay. Did you make any changes after the main event for entering the public events?
Yes, I decided to cut 2 cards in my side deck because I believe that in a side event the metagame could be more various than in the main event, and it pays because in the last round I played against a Pendulum deck and I side Ghost Ogre that was really good against Pendulum, so it works.
Okay. How do you feel about the giant card events in general?
Yes, I really like side event in general because if the main event was not so good, you can still play and compete for good prizes. For example, the giant card, but also the mega regional and other side events. And the giant card was my favorite side event for sure.
Okay. Do you have any final words? Any shoutouts? Anything you want to say?
I want to thank my friends that supports me from home and from Berlin. In particular, Lorenzo Santoni, Andrea Rossi, and Francesco Bonafede, that gives me a lot of cards, and also we build the deck together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have fun with your giant cards. See you next time.
Thanks.
See you next time. Bye. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of our 2018 WSOQ European Championship in Berlin, and we're here with another giant card winner. What's your name?
Yasin Eziri.
Yasin, you won Diablos, you entered the structure deck event. Why did you choose to enter the structure deck event?
Well, some friends of mine played it too, so I thought, well, maybe I should try it out too.
Okay. Do you feel like structure decks are fun to play or more challenging to play? So what do you think about it?
I think playing a structure deck is really challenging because the most cards in the deck you don't even know, and the interactions, so you have to read every card and find new interactions to beat your opponent.
Okay. And did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay. How do you feel about your giant card now?
Well, I feel really proud.
Yeah. Is it your first big prize that you won at an event?
No, not really. I topped the Euros last year.
Oh, okay. So you're no stranger to big prizes and big events.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't win many prizes, but I know how it feels to win something.
Okay. What deck did you play?
I played the structure deck.
In the main events?
In the main event, I played Magnite Sky Striker.
Okay. How did it go for you?
It went really bad. There's a funny story. I wanted to play Pure Sky Striker, and I really didn't like the deck because I always lost against Order and stuff like that. So I thought, a friend of mine and we thought like, maybe we should play something else.
Okay.
And he found my Magnites, and we built the deck 30 minutes before we have to give it the list.
Oh, okay. Okay. And how did the Magnite engine work for you?
It worked really good. It was kind of funny because nobody thought that I would play it. They always said I would play Trickster, so they started stuff against Trickster.
Okay.
And yeah, but the only problem was that I often ended up in timeout.
Okay, okay. How do you feel about the new timeout rulings?
Honestly, I really don't like them because it's not really like good for a healthy gameplay, because in the old rules you played like 3 rounds after it, and now you have to win in the same phase, so your opponent will try to rush in the battle phase. You have to deal most damage first. You can, and often if you look after the timeout, many hands are rising up calling for a judge because their opponent is taking too much time.
Okay. Now back to the giant cards. How do you feel about the giant card events in general?
I think they're a cool idea and they should keep doing that.
Okay. Do you have any final words, any shoutouts?
Yeah, I want to shout out my friends who have come here with me. I want to especially thank Mathis, and I want to give a huge shout out to the best vendor called Eurocards.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Have fun with your card.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you.
Till next time, bye. Hello everybody, my name is Rudolf Weisinger and I'm here with
Nico Schlekamp.
Our first giant card winner of the event in Berlin. How do you feel right now?
It feels pretty good to win the Giant card. It's always like a pretty big prize and really fun tournament to win.
How do you feel about the general card events in general?
I really like the Giant card event because it lasts not so long, so it's pretty short. You can have a lot of games in a short time, and you can prepare like the best way for the next day, the main event. Basically, if you play it at Friday, or you can just play it on Sunday if you lost the main event. So it's a really good event to fill your time.
What deck did you play?
I played Gookie level 3 Link Spam.
Why did you choose to run the deck?
The deck doesn't really have bad matchups, only like 1 or 2, and even those are beatable, so you basically have least bad matchups in the meta at the moment, and you can beat every deck easily, pretty much, and it's very consistent.
I guess that's the reason why I chose to run the deck.
Yeah, you also pretty much auto-win if your opponent can't stop your first turn, or you can stop the hand drop with like Called by the Grave or something like that. So it's just the best deck to farm easy wins, like in many rounds especially.
And do you have any particular good or particular bad matchups?
Pendulum is a little bit weird because they go for Abyss Dweller most of the times, but it's beatable, especially after the side deck. Altergeist is very hard because they can play a lot of traps and hand traps, and they grind really well and interrupt you like every turn. It's also beatable with the side deck, but it's very tough.
Do you have any final words, any shoutouts, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I want to thank my team E-Man Games and my local store in Karlsruhe, Raid and Trade.
All right, thank you very much, and good luck for the main event.
Thank you.
Hello everybody and welcome to the coverage of the World Championship Qualifier 2018 in Berlin. I'm here with our very own traveller of the Burning Abyss, Tom Rose. How are you doing, man?
Very well, it's good to be here. It's really exciting being back on the coverage. Venue looks fantastic, and I'm really excited to get involved with some games of Yu-Gi-Oh! This weekend.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to see what's happened. And on that subject of the metagame, what are your expectations for this weekend? What do you think is going to be the deck to beat?
Obviously, throughout National season, we've seen loads of Sky Strikers, and we're still going to see Sky Strikers in everything. One of the biggest contenders has been this Trickstar deck. It doesn't do very much, but it does so very consistently, and when it can take some free wins with the Reincarnation Droll and Lock combo as well, it's still something that's really scary, and you've got to watch out for it. But
absolutely,
I think Go-Uki is going to be taking more of the hot seat this weekend. We've seen a lot of new developments with particularly the new cards in Battles of Legend, Relentless Revenge. We have Gumblar Dragon threatening to take away cards from people's hands. We have Living Fossil coming in as a new hot choice for the second equip spell that you play for your Assault. And there's just so many interesting techs coming about. Obviously the reprint of Aquadolphin in that same set. We see people looking to things like Defrag Dragon and Gilasaurus to play a more Invoker-centered build. There's so much new development to that deck, and the power of an Extra Link really can't be understated. Even against a deck like Trickstar, not hugely reliant on the extra deck, if you can cut off half of the board before they even get to play their first card, there's not a lot that they can do to fight back from that kind of position.
Yeah, it's really rough, and it's super interesting to see how just a couple of weeks ago, Gyoki was the deck everyone was scared of, but not the deck everyone wanted to play, and this weekend it's considered to be the biggest contender, following on from its success from the North American WCQ. Outside of the Gyoki deck, what else do you think is actually going to stand up to it? So maybe perhaps Pendulum, we saw success at the UK National Championships and also second place at the NAWCQ. What are your thoughts?
Pendulum can provide a strong counter. They can build really good boards with lots of interaction if they win the die roll.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they are stuck in an awful place. What we see a lot with Pendulum decks is that they have to fill their deck list with Pendulum cards. You can't afford to be playing 6 or even 9 hand traps we see from other decks that you need to be able to stop the Go-Uki player from resolving that extra link. If you extra link a Pendulum player, they have already lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, one of the number one things this weekend is considering how are you stopping the Go-Uki deck getting to its field? It's not even about breaking the board. I think some people are writing that off as a strategy and just saying, okay, they need to not get to that point.
Yeah, I think the safest strategy is certainly trying to prevent the board rather than solve it afterwards. Even cards like Evenly Matched are unable to break through a Trigate Wizard, so unless you have Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode, which we see a lot of in side decks, but there's no way you could risk playing that in the main.
Yeah.
Game 1 can be a write-off if you lose the die roll against that matchup.
Considering the differences between North America and European territories, Link Kuriboh is one of the big subjects where a lot of players have said, will the Goki deck be as successful in Europe because it's lacking one of the key cards it needs for the extra link?
So Link Kuriboh is a very forgiving card for the Goki players. It makes the extra links much easier to achieve if you're playing in North American territories, but by no means does that mean that we can't do those plays in Europe. It takes a bit more planning with your combos, with your board management, but all of the combos starting off from that Isolde resolution, if you're not interrupted, there's nothing standing in your way. The power of Firewall Dragon is just so ridiculous that it doesn't matter that you had to put an extra monster into that Nightmare to then link away for the second Mermaid. Sure, it took one card more, but that's just one card less from your 7-card hand after you've been drawing and adding back your Divine Sword. And
yeah, that's interesting. It'd be good to see if it plays out this weekend. And I guess to round out the discussion, the deck you won the UK National Championships with, Dante's Cat, as you dubbed it. What are your thoughts on that, considering the changes? Like, with Goki coming in much higher, are we likely to see more things like Abyss Dweller? Would your deck from that event work here this weekend?
If I were playing the event, I would still be playing that deck.
Right.
I was considering some changes that I would make from the build that I played at UK Nationals, and I would certainly be respecting Goki most of all with those changes that I make, because it is one of the hardest matchups, and at the time I was fortunate I only played it twice, and I drew very well in those matchups. I had Droll and Lockbird when I needed it, but if you don't have the ability to stop that Goki board from resolving, you can't break through, and I think any player that wants to enter this event with Burning Abyss will be very scared of playing second into that kind of board.
Okay, Tom, thank you for your thoughts, and everyone, please stay with us for more coverage for the WCQ 2018 Berlin.
Where are you? The Pharaoh's calling me. Solve the puzzle, transformate into the Dual King and teach me. Exodia, the forbidden one. It's in my possession now. The duel is done. Your wheel, don't you understand? It's not the man in the fight, it's the fight in the man. Yeah. Now I'm the master of the duel. It's been my pleasure to meet you. Oh, let's go! Welcome, welcome, welcome to the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the world we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Welcome, welcome, welcome to the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the world we go.
Hello and welcome back to the finals of the European Championship here in Berlin for 2018. I'm joined with Matt Bell.
One more round, Luke. This is the decider to find out who's the European champion.
It absolutely is. Everyone who is going to Japan has been decided at this point.
Absolutely, we know. Actually, I think there's one seat still in contestant, and that would be the French slot for points, which will depend on the player's performance this weekend.
Yep. But this match is for this
all the
coveted
marbles,
trophy.
Luke.
This
all
big
the
marble.
marbles.
There's a huge marble.
That is a very big marble.
It is.
We're going to have one winner at the end of this weekend.
Yep.
This is the first time the United Kingdom have ever appeared in the finals of a WCQ, I believe.
You may be right. You may be right, actually.
I tried to go back too far, and I was like, do I write my name on that? I'm like, go ahead. We'll be wrong later. It's fine.
Nice. Well, let's have a quick breakdown of what our stats say about this matchup. So, Luke Parks.
You've heard a lot about him.
Yeah, he's on an 80% win rate.
Higher after this weekend.
Only getting higher after this weekend, correct. We have Francesco Simoncelli here, who is on a 61% win rate. But that doesn't take away from the fact he's currently sat in the finals and he's going to Tokyo.
Yeah, he's absolutely made it all the way here through the field. He's coming up against a deck that he's unfavored against by about 10%.
About 10%, yeah.
He's at a 10% disadvantage before you count in player skill, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know the stats. They don't make it because we've seen.
It could just be your weekend. We've seen, for example, Marcello drawing an unplayable hand. We've absolutely seen major upsets this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So this trophy in front of us is going to be handed over to one of these guys. Let's find out who it is. Is it going to be Luke Parks or Francesco Simoncelli? Oliver Gurman and Tom Rose will guide us through the action. Take it away, guys.
Yes, guys, welcome. If you just tuned in, this is going to be it. This is the finals of the European Championship 2018. As these other two guys over there on the analyst desk just said, we got Luke Parks and Francesco Simoncelli.
16 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Have led up to this moment. This is round number 17. Over 1,600 duelists, and now just 2 remain. One will be crowned the European champion for 2018. Both will be going to the World Championships, but at this point, it's all to play for on the bragging rights. Who will be able to claim that title of European champion?
If you've come this far, you're not going to give up now. You're not going to be like, okay, I'm going to Worlds, but now I don't care about this last match. You're either going to worry about your win record, which shouldn't fall below 80% if you Luke Parks, or Francesco is going to be like, I want to be going back to Italy with a trophy in hand, because that's also quite nice. So let's take a quick look at the way to the finals for these two guys. Let's bring that up for you. You can see our top bracket of the European Championship, and it was stacked with high-profile names. Luke Parks was one of the guys we expected to do really well here. But he also, look at that bracket, he had to overcome Marcello Barberi in the quarterfinals, and then in the semifinals he had to go up against Nicolas Meyer from Germany, who just kicked out Jake Quincy the round before.
Yeah, we've had loads and loads of big names, and even the top 16 doesn't show everyone that we had in the top cut this weekend. There were so many huge players.
There were more national champions, former national champions, even former European champions.
And former Worlds competitors.
Yes. And also what's interesting, if you look at the flags, Italy was initially sending the most players into the top 64, suddenly taking a backseat to the Germans in the top 32, and then they were fighting back. The remaining Italians were like, this is for honor, this is for glory. And 2 of them ended up in the right bracket of the top 16 here, with Francesco Simoncelli, who's now in the finals, as well as Mr. Garanzini. I think that was Alberto, without being 100% sure about it. Alessandro, I'm sorry. Alessandro made it also to the semi-finals. All right, with that, the stage has been set. We are ready. You guys are definitely ready. Crowd, are you ready? Can we hear something from the crowd?
Come on, give us some more.
There we go. The crowd is ready. The stage is set. And with that, let's take you guys to the table, and we're going to be ready to... Okay, we just heard we have some technical difficulties after all of that hyping. So with that, I'm going to give the head judge a sign that he can start the announcement, because he also needs to announce that we're going to start the finals. We're going to reboot our statistics app as well as our other app. And I think with that, we should be ready for the finals. Let's cross your fingers, guys, and see if this is working out.
Good luck to both players, but most luck to Luke.
Right. Again, we lost the being well, what's
impartial.
The word? Impartial is the word I'm looking for. Thank you so much. Yeah, and that's okay. In the finals of the European Championship, you can be rooting for the player from the same country you're from. That's all right. All right, guys. Let's head over to the table. Both these guys are okay. We still have the technical difficulties in the most inopportune moment here. Just gonna try to reboot this one more time. And worst case scenario is we're gonna have to call it blindly. We're not gonna do that, don't worry, guys. So
I think we see the match. The players have started. Luke has won the die roll and begins with a normal summon of Gouki Riscorpio, and he has instant fusion to follow that up with. So he has instant access straight for that Isolde, but we don't have access to the cards in hand, so I can't tell you whether Francesco has any hand traps to combat this opening combo here. If he doesn't, Luke will surely be able to follow through with this full combo. We saw just a peek there in hand for Francesco. There was a Torrential Tribute, one of the very interesting tech cards. We haven't seen much of that this weekend, but he's playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute in the main deck, which could be absolutely pivotal. If Luke doesn't have access to information on the deck list going into this match, he might walk into that in this game or the next. It's all to play for here. I just hope Luke can keep his nerve. And
yeah, I'm just going to double check if these guys have met before. We actually heard the crowd give a little bit of an applause, and that is because they didn't see a hand trap here.
Yeah, there's no Droll Lockbird, there's no Ash Blossom. Luke even has the Soul Charge in his hand waiting for later. He has everything that he needs for this combo to resolve.
So these two guys have not met so far, although chances are they know what each other is playing, because they played against a couple of their friends, or they were sitting next to each other, very close to the top.
Yeah, they will absolutely know each other's deck types, but small tech cards, there's a chance that those might have slipped under the radar this far.
Yeah, and we're going 3 for 3 with Luke Parks here. He's really on a win streak in that feature match area. He must be feeling comfortable with that. And he might be well on his way to yet another victory, at least in the first game of the finals.
Yeah, Luke's just going through the motions here. We've seen this combo. We've talked so many times this weekend about when players have to make up a slightly different combo as they're going along if there's interruptions, but there's no interruption here. Luke is just free to play. He's done this combo 20 times probably, even just today.
Yeah, he was playing mirror matches all day. Actually, we looked it up earlier and found out that on day 2, up all the way until the semi-finals, Luke Parks was only playing against Gouki, and now he's finally need to adapt strategies again and go up against Sky Striker Trickstar.
Yeah, at this point, all he knows is Gouki every single match, but clearly he must be the best Gouki player in the room, because he's the one that's still left in the tournament at this point, and he's fighting to take home that championship title.
Yeah, he wants to take it home with him. All the coming home jokes that we made yesterday, or at least I made yesterday, they haven't really aged very well in this tournament, to be honest. England really is on a roll this weekend, and we've seen that. Like, even Matt and Luke have been in a very bright mood all weekend, and sometimes they're a bit more somber, to be honest.
Yeah, we see Luke here continuing with those plays. He's had to make a slightly non-standard board, having opened with the Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. He doesn't go straight for the Mermaid to summon it from the deck, instead opting simply to normal summon it and get back the Underclock Taker. Oftentimes we don't see the Underclock Taker summoned immediately for the Firewall material, but he needs to go through that stage to have something to summon back on the normal summon of the Ibli. So I was mistaken when I said he was just going to breeze through with a standard combo. We have a slight difference here, and let's hope he knows exactly what he's doing. I know he's spent a lot of time practicing for every eventuality with these Gouki combos, so he should know his route through this line, but the concentration on his face is not going away. He's really having to think hard, make sure that he doesn't slip up at this last moment.
Right. It looks like we're one step closer to bringing you the usual coverage with cards in hand and cards on the table. Cards in hand from Francesco Simoncelli, Trickstar Candina, Port of Desire, Scapegoat, Sky Striker Mobilize, Engage, and Torrential Tribute. As we pointed out, no disruption, however, that Torrential Tribute at least. But I think after the Gouki deck has been assembled, Torrential Tribute is no longer that strong.
Yes, so long as Luke Parks is able to fully resolve his combo and sit with a triply co-linked Tri-Gate Wizard, the Torrential Tribute won't be much of a threat.
All right. So Luke Parks really put himself in a perfect position in the driver's seat, and he's driving a Ferrari all the way back to England from Berlin, Germany, at the largest ever European Championship. So far, so good, going through the motions, handing him his opponent that Ibli.
And here we'll see him shuffle it back into his own deck with the effect of Nightmare Unicorn.
And Francesco, however, seems quite relaxed. Maybe it's because he knows that he's still going to the World Championship, or maybe because he knows I can still turn this around. I've been in this situation before, and even if I lose the first game, I can still turn it around then.
Yeah, as you say, this is only game one. At this point, in my mind, Luke is absolutely the favorite for this game, but that isn't the end of the match.
Absolutely not. And there's so many things to talk about in just a few seconds. Once we know what these guys are going to be siding into.
Here we see the Soul Charge coming down for Luke.
Yeah, just adding insult to injury at this point.
He'll be able to pull out 2 monsters from his grave here at the cost of 2,000 life points.
It's a small price to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the effect of Soul Charge, and even if you pull back 5 monsters, 5,000 life points is really nothing to pay for a full board of monsters. If you look way back in the day, people would pay 5,000 for a single activation of Cyberstein.
Yeah.
And that only gets you one thing. Here, 1 spell card in your hand, doesn't even require your normal summon. Bam, a full board.
Well, at the end of the day, if you have 1 life point when your opponent has 0 life points, you're winning.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter if it's just 1. So here we go. Luke Parks assembled a gigantic board. We can look at that board a little bit closer here. Firewall Dragon, Trigate Wizard, Goki Twist Cobra, Goki Headbat, Nightmare Mermaid, and Nightmare Corruptor Ibli.
Here we see, yeah, the Ibli that was shuffled into his deck with his own Unicorn effect has now been summoned out again as he links away for the Nightmare Mermaid in his upper left monster zone. By the end of this combo, I suspect all of the monster zones in Luke's row and the center too will belong to that same blue Link monster board.
So I think now part of the reason why the UK players are doing so well is because the way that they're trying to build this Goki board is they're trying to mirror the Union check. that could be a possible explanation. Okay. Well, Francesco Simoncelli is forced to watch his opponent, and chances are he might just draw for the turn and then say, okay, that was fun. Let's go to the second duel.
It's not quite the machine gun extra link that we saw in the earlier rounds from Christopher Nielsen, but Luke still continuing to make plays here. I think Francesco just gesturing that he'd quite like Luke to hurry up a bit here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even in the finals, we are under time constraints. In case you're wondering, Francesco is not playing any of the typical side deck cards in his main deck. There's no surprises like a Winged Dragon of Wrath Fear Mode in the main deck, for example. It sits in the side deck where it belongs, is what many people would say. There's also 3 copies of Evenly Matched in the side deck, interestingly enough. Also not... But we haven't seen that very often this weekend. We keep repeating it. We've only seen it once, and it was dragged down into the grave.
Yeah, it does seem, though, that Francesco's deck might be quite well tailored to taking on this Goki matchup.
Yeah. I think Francesco here is actually waiting for Luke to go through all of these motions and combos just because he wants to get a really, really good peek at his opponent's deck. So, if possible, he knows the entire deck inside out after the end of that first game, which is an advantage of sorts. Most people wouldn't be willing to pay the price of losing 1 duel to know the opponent's deck, but Francesco is taking what he can get here.
Perhaps he has no option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll just see Luke continuing to try and further resolve this board. He has the Tripoli co-linked Trigate Wizard, a key component.
Yeah, there's some applause. It's somewhat faint. People don't really know if they should love it or hate it, I think.
And Luke just special summons that last monster into the zone adjacent to the Firewall Dragon, forcing, if Francesco is main decking any Kaijus, he won't be able to tribute either of the mermaids in the extra monster zone because there's no free main monster zone. That was a play that he'd been discussing with Tom Payne, one of his teammates, about how if you finish with a full 7 monsters on board, even the Kaijus, which are becoming a bit more popular, can't break that extra link board.
Alright, so Trickstar Reincarnation is the top deck for the turn for Francesco Simoncelli. And I'm somewhat surprised he's playing even, but he's trying it with Sky Striker Mobilize Engage.
At this point, Luke won't be wanting to negate anything that doesn't directly threaten the board he has set up already. The Widow Anchor comes out of the deck, but with everything co-linked and a Nightmare Goblin on the field, it won't be able to be activated here for any target other than the Headbat. We'll see 10 cards banished from the top as the cost for the Pot of Desires, but I expect again, Luke will hold firm. He appears to be thinking, perhaps he wants to negate that Pot of Desires.
He definitely looks like he's thinking. what could be going through his head? I mean, he does know for a fact that his opponent doesn't have any hand traps.
Yeah, so for Luke, it's simply a matter of he needs to hold his nerve and not negate anything until there's a real threat.
And a pot is not a real threat. Unless your opponent is out of cards completely and he's playing his only card, which is the pot.
So we'll see 2 additional cards. Normal summon of Candina. Luke here doesn't have on his field the... oh no, he has negated that Pot of Desires with his Trigate Wizard if it's been banished. No cards were drawn. And without a Nightmare Phoenix, Luke doesn't have any protection from destruction by battle.
Yeah, Francesco is still left with 4 cards, so that certainly...
Admittedly, all of Francesco's monsters at this point, save for any hypothetical co-linked ones, will be losing 2,000 attack apiece due to the effects of 2 Nightmare Mermaids.
Yeah, we see the light stage, searching for the Lilybell. All of that is your regularly scheduled program for the Trickstar Sky Striker deck.
The effect of the light stage, they're locking down that 1 set on Luke's side of the field. What is the set card for Luke here?
Called by the Grave.
Okay, so in the end phase, it cannot be used. There are no monsters in grave for Francesco.
Yep, here it's been taken out. And suddenly Francesco also committed all of his cards to the field, except for that Trickstar Candina waiting in his hand.
So Francesco's monsters all have no stats. It's just a case of whether or not Luke's will be psyched out by the sight of staring down 4 back rows. We know that there is a Reincarnation, a Torrential Tribute, a Scapegoat, and a Widow Anchor amongst those sets. So really quite a lot of tools to try and stay in the game. That is, I assume, the effect of Trigate Wizard. Does it? I think it has a 2-link effect to banish a card on the field.
You can target 1 card on the field, banish it, yes.
So he first
being chained
takes out 1 card.
It is Scapegoat.
Luke won't care about that one. It doesn't threaten to destroy his board. He'll just let it resolve. At this point, he only is worried about anything that could take down the fort that he's assembled with that full 7-monster extra link board.
And the Torrential Tribute that in theory... Oh, actually Francesco couldn't activate it now anyway, because he would be missing the timing. Wouldn't be doing anything because of those nightmare effects that protect the monsters from destruction.
Yeah, Luke just needs to hold his nerve here and hold fire on that Trigate Wizard for only in response to if that Torrential Tribute gets flipped up. Although, of course... with the co-linked Nightmare Cerberus as well, the board isn't even susceptible.
That's what I mean, yeah. Right, so Luke Parks still in a very advantageous position. Like you said, he just needs to keep his calm. And Francesco Simoncelli, he's staying in there. Maybe because he wants to see as many cards as possible from his opponent's deck. Or maybe because he thinks that's giving him an advantage in a different way. That I can't quite make out.
I think that Francesco might even be putting himself at a disadvantage by playing on here. The hidden tech that is Torrential Tribute, if it gets banished by a Trigate Wizard next turn, will reveal far more information to Parks in that than anything that he could realistically expect to see at this point.
Yeah, and before that could happen, Francesco decides to call it a day. He's shuffling up and accessing his side deck to decide on what's going to happen in the second. I'm just laughing because somebody's revealing a Spain flag and we don't have a Spanish player in the finals. All right, with that, let's take a look at the side decks of these 2 duelists.
So, Francesco, we can only assume will be playing first here.
Yeah.
We've seen some interesting play with players choosing to force their opponents to play first, but I would be very surprised if we see that in the final. He has access to Shared Rides in his side deck. Those are very likely to come in. Short of Droll and Lockbird, they will at least allow him to draw cards whilst Luke Parks is amassing his huge number of searches.
Does he have a Droll and Lockbird?
He will have Droll and Lockbird in the main deck, not in the side.
Yeah.
There is a card here in the side deck that is written in Italian and I don't know the name of.
Tela Rossa Potente di Polvere, if I'm not mistaken. We can try and find that card. And the other cards are...
Evenly matched, very likely to come in if he makes it to a Game 3 playing second, along with the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. And a Saryuja Skulldread also sat in his side deck. He may want to bring that in playing first.
I think it's Heavy Storm Duster.
Okay, yes. We won't be seeing Heavy Storm Duster in this match. The cards that Luke Parks are going to be setting to his back row, not hugely impactful.
And I have to correct myself, the name is Tempesta Potente di Polvere. Who couldn't have come up with that? So Heavy Storm Duster.
My Italian is a little rusty.
Yeah. All right.
And the side deck for Luke Parks on the other side of things, Twin Twisters, very likely that those will be coming in, and also the red reboots. So it may have been hugely valuable for Francesco not revealing that Torrential Tribute, because there's a chance that Luke might not side it, not revealing the Torrential, so that Luke possibly will skip over the red reboot in his side deck, which would definitely come in if he knows about those Torrentials.
Right. So Luke Parks in a pretty good position. I think he's won all of the first duels when we featured him in the last three rounds. This round and the last 2 rounds.
I think he was speaking to his friends just after that semi-final match, and he's claimed to have not lost a game in the Top Cut.
Wasn't the first feature match a 2-1? Was it also 2-0?
It was a Gouki mirror match.
Yeah, it was. Was it a 2-0? Oh, I'm confused. Oh, yeah. Was it against again? Was it the game against Marcello, or was it in the semi-finals?
Yeah, the Marcello game would have been in the top 8, I believe.
It was, yes. And then we stayed with him because the other match would have been a mirror match, and we wanted to have Sky Strike against Gouki. Okay, actually he is correct in that case. Wow, hasn't lost a game in the top card, even though he's been playing mirror matches all day, all the way until the semi-finals. So now we're having the cards, the opening hands for the second game loading in with Gouki, Suprex and Twin Twisters, Living Fossil for Luke Parks. Chunk Forward is the 4th card, and number 5 will be there in just a second. Oh, there we have the hand of Francesco. Gouki Twist Cobra is the 5th card for Luke Parks.
Francesco is opened with a very strong hand here and no interaction from Luke Parks. I think this game, on the opening hands at least, looks like it might be favoring the Italian player here.
It's definitely a good opening hand, like you said. No interruption is key, but turnabout is fair play. That's exactly what happened in the first game, when Luke Parks was able to unleash his combo unopposed.
Yeah, it will be very exciting if we do see that Game 3 being brought about in this final match. Right. So here we see Francesco just umming and ahhing about which zone to place his Hornet drones into. Don't imagine it makes a great deal of difference.
No, it didn't, because it was only there for 1 second.
The Kagari effect gets back that initial engage, and he won't quite be able to make it up to the spell threshold. Oh no, there is potential that he can. If he uses his first terraforming and then a light stage, summon the Candina for a second light stage. Once the second light stage is played over the first, there will then be the full 3 spell cards in the grave to get that bonus resolution on the Sky Striker Mobilize Engage activation for the second time around.
Yeah, and Luke Parks looks like he's just taking this in. He seems to be actually thinking about his own stuff more than what his opponent is doing. He knows that there's not much that he can be doing.
Yeah, we see a really strong opening for Francesco here, and Luke doesn't know quite what he's facing up against yet, but the reality of the situation is soon going to become very apparent to him.
Oh, actually, he's not going for the plan that you were telegraphing with that light stage, because instead he's going with a Trickstar Reincarnation.
So he's valuing the Reincarnation higher here than the potential for an extra draw.
Well, I mean, I guess there are reasons for that. He can also fool his opponent into believing that he set up the combo, and then he's setting the Torrential Tribute.
Yeah, and of course he would need to sacrifice the Shizuku search by linking away his Candina to clear the main monster zones.
For the engage. So there are various things at play here.
So instead, he would rather have the search from the Shizuku and leave that Licorice on the field than to have access to a random draw.
So he places Torrential Tribute, Shared Ride, and Trickster Reincarnation, of course. And
one final search to round off the turn.
it's an interesting opening. It's not especially what we expected at first. But yes, that Candina on the field really wrecked that plan with the engage and all of those extra draws with the engage. So it's up to Luke Parks. Takes 400 damage plus 200 damage. It's just 200 plus 200, right?
Yeah, 400 damage in two little bites, one from each card. You see Luke Parks playing with a very strong hand there, but we know he needs to get through a lot of back row. It'll be interesting to see whether he goes for the Twin Twisters to start, or will he wait and potentially risk walking into that Torrential Tribute.
Seems like he's going for the latter. Although so far the Torrential Tribute wouldn't really harm him.
No, at the early stages he can afford to be a bit more aggressive with his plays. Both players would be losing almost the same amount of cards here. But as we get slightly deeper into the combo, the threat of that Torrential Tribute grows only larger.
Yes. And so I guess after every single summon, there's going to be a chance that Francesco Simoncelli is thinking, give me a second, I need to think about this. And so one monster after another will slowly stick to the field. That's the third monster hitting play for Luke Parks. And
Francesco actually having to think here, how far does he want to let these plays go?
Yeah, I mean, he should know. He's been playing this all day long, all weekend long, in fact. I would be surprised if he's pulling the trigger at not the most opportune moment.
Okay, so we might see Luke again here opt to use 2 Goukis to special summon his Assault. He has access to an additional extra monster zone. He wants to play around Reincarnation Droll.
Which is fair enough.
It'll be interesting to see which 2 monsters he chooses to change for his Assault and where he puts that Assault. In playing around that potential for Droll and Lockbird, he may play deeper into the Shared Ride, though.
I think so. There's a very good chance that Francesco gets to draw a couple of cards with the Shared Ride. Although he doesn't have any more interaction than... Oh, now it's the Twin Twister. This could be huge.
Is that the Shared Ride? Is it the Torrential Tribute? He wants to hit the Torrential and he wants to miss the Shared Ride.
It's the Shared Ride.
Oh!
And the other card is the Trickster Reincarnation. So Torrential Tribute.
But he's missed the Torrential Tribute.
Torrential Tribute is still on the field.
And Luke now knows that he's playing under the Shared Ride.
So this is good and bad news for Luke Parks at the same time. He feels like he's just played around something. Feels a bit more secure than before, I guess, unless he thinks there's a possible second reincarnation. But does he see the Torrential Tribute coming here?
I don't think there's any way that he can. But how many searches is he going to try and take? How many cards does he want to give away?
Yeah, these are a couple
It looks like he's activated all 3 effects there.
It's also like this was the perfect way that things have played out for Francesco Simoncelli. This couldn't have gone any better for him. And so lucky that he set 3 cards, and 2 out of those that were targeted were the ones that he could chain to the effect.
Yeah, it's really not looking great for Luke here. I'm worried that he's taken all 3 searches with a plan to just march through and try and finish the game this turn, but he'll be giving away so much card advantage, and an untimely Torrential Tribute will see him absolutely wiped out.
Yeah, it's similar to the Max C challenge that we had at past events, where one player knows that it's either now or never. Luke Parks decided it is now, and Torrential Tribute is going to say, nope, it's never. So, and also there's the opportunity for Francesco Simoncelli, of course, to draw some more hand traps, potentially, which would then make life even harder for Luke Parks, no matter what he's going to go for here.
If you're Francesco at this point, how long do you think you hold on to that Torrential Tribute?
Yeah, I think it's until the very first monster that would really put a lot... speaking of hand traps, Droll and Lockbird ×2 for Francesco. Yeah, I think before the first monster that is like really threatening him is hitting play. Like, obviously before we see like a Crosslink and Cerberus protecting all the monsters. Like, I would say at the last moment that Luke Parks is expecting it, which happens to be the best moment for Francesco.
Okay, we just saw the Drollen Lockbird, one of the ones that was drawn by Francesco, being activated there, so neither player will be drawing any more cards here.
Yeah, there we go.
Parks activating the effect of his Isolde, sending that Phoenix Blade to the graveyard to pull out Octastretch from the deck.
So any moment now, we might see Torrential Tribute. A card that, if I'm not mistaken, was released in Pharaoh or Servant.
Labyrinth of Nightmare.
Even earlier.
LON.
LON. It's the 5th set that has been released. So many, many years have passed since this card has first been printed.
And many prints it's had on its way through.
Yeah. And it's still good. It's still good. And if you doubt that, just wait a little longer and you're going to see it for yourself. You can't help but wonder, what is Luke Parks expecting to be face down here? Does he maybe think there might be a Scapegoat? Is he maybe thinking there's another Sky Striker card?
Well, this is what we were saying about the value for Francesco of being able to conceal that information about the trap cards in his deck. Luke won't know what he's playing into here, and that might really change the tide of the match. I'm sure if he had the information about what he's about to activate his Goki rematch into, he would be going nowhere near it.
Yeah.
But as he puts these
There's the Goki
4th
rematch.
and 5th monsters onto the field,
you can hear. I could hear some gasps in the crowd because people were like expecting
and
that.
here's the
Torrential Tribute, and this is big. Luke Parks, you can tell on his face he's not happy, whereas Francesco's face is saying, "Gotcha, I gotcha." Luke Parks can't help but smile. He's like, "This is not what I was expecting." Shuffling up the cards, and that means it's 1-1 between Francesco Simoncelli.
he's not shuffling up.
Oh, he's still going?
He still has plays. He can still activate the Living Fossil in his hand to put an extra monster onto the field and then special summon the Headbat from hand, discarding Rescorpio. Luke is not out of plays. He is in a really bad position.
He's out of focus. He's definitely out of focus, but apparently not out of place. And Francesco Simoncelli, just look at him. Rub that hands. He's happy about how this turned out. But I actually thought Luke Parks is just going to be like, okay, let's go to game 3 here.
No, Luke has plays here. I'm not sure that they're going to be good enough, but he does have options. He's not giving up.
He's not giving up. He's a fighter. Both of these guys won't give up. We've seen it in the first game with Francesco. Now we see it in the second game with Luke Parks.
I think we just see the summon there, an attack for 2,100. Perhaps he's hoping that he can just have a bigger monster than Francesco is able to field.
Yeah, but we see Luke Parks with no interruption whatsoever. And Francesco Simoncelli with 5 cards in hand. He's got another Drollen Lockbird. He's got Searches. He's got plenty of Searches, in fact, with 2 copies of those Engages. I would be hard-pressed to say that Luke Parks can turn this around. He is a master of the game. I'm not taking anything away from him. But I'm not sure if he can turn this one around.
Very few cards for Luke would be able to affect the game. Chat just pointing out that even the Suprex is not at 2,100, it's only at 1,100 after losing 1,000 to the reduction from Living Fossil.
Yeah. So that's a good little note there, guys. Thank you very much. And we're glad that you're just as involved as we are. All right. So where's Francesco Simoncelli going to go here?
Well, he has 6 cards in hand. He has so many options. He'll be drawing cards with the effects of his Skytracker Mobilize. He's really got the world at his feet at this point. I don't see any way that Luke is going to be fighting back into this game. But Luke at this point does have incentive to stay on in this match. He knows that there's crazy techs like Torrential Tribute in the mix.
That is
he
true.
might want to see, just in case there's anything else that he can find out before he goes into game 3.
If Francesco Simoncelli wins the finals with two moves like that we just saw with Torrential Tribute, he's going to be absolutely invincible going into the World Championship. And Luke Parks is not going to like his odds when he's going up against Francesco at Worlds, because he's going to be like, that's the guy that caught me off guard twice and played cards that nobody saw coming in the finals of the European Championship.
So yeah, Luke just trying to make sure that he doesn't get fooled again in this same match.
And just in case you're wondering, guys, no, this is not the graveyard by Francesco Simoncelli. All of those cards are actually in his hand right now. So many cards.
Yeah, Luke must be staring down that giant hand of cards for Francesco, thinking that there's nothing that'll save him here.
Yeah, here's a bit of a guess. He must be playing Cowboy, otherwise he would have given up. But no, he is not. Luke Parks is not playing Cowboy. And Luke Parks is still shaking his head. I think he's still reeling, or at least somewhat affected by the torrential tribute earlier.
He may, of course, be taking some time here, choosing not to concede to give himself some emotional recovery time from that torrential tribute before he has to get ready for his game 3.
Yeah, might be a smart option. And that Cowboy comment actually had a real reason for that. It was not just a joke, because if Luke Parks were to be the lucky player to be ending the game with time running out slowly but steadily, and the game would end in his main phase, then a Cowboy could be enough to win the game, of course.
But we can see here on his deck list in front of us that the only Xyz monster on his list is that one copy of MX Saber Invoker. No Gegaga Cowboy in the extra or side deck for Parks.
Yes. So no, we're not going to see that. But we don't know what we're going to see. We're definitely going to see a third duel, because now Luke Parks is calling it a day. He's like, yes, that is it for the time being. We need to... Okay, we even have mottos now in the audience here. And it would be interesting to hear what the audience is actually rooting for, because I'm not quite sure, to be honest. It seems like we got a 50-50 between Gouki and Sky Striker Trickstar, or between Italy and, of course, the UK. But this was the calm before the storm, because this one is for all the marbles, or for the one marble that gigantic marble that we used as a trophy for this year's European Championship.
Yeah, we see this entire tournament coming down to one final game with just 8 minutes left to play. Luke Parks almost certainly will be playing first here, building his Gouki board into the 3 copies of Evenly Matched and 3 copies of Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode sat on the other side of the table.
Does Luke Parks have anything to stop these cards from resolving? We don't see something like a drag down into the grave.
No, but we do have a Neospatian Aquadolphin, a card that we've talked about several times this weekend. Even if it's not actually able to strip the Evenly Matched or the Winged Dragon of Ra from the hand, it gives you the knowledge that those cards are waiting, and you can adjust your plays, make sure that you build a safe board with resilience to those options.
All right. Almost 8 minutes remaining. The last duel of the World Championship qualifier, European Championship 2018 in Berlin. Whew.
Yeah, with only 7 minutes left on the clock as we go into the start of this game, Aquadolphin could prove really key here. If Luke isn't able to hit a card with the effect when he activates it, he himself will take some burn damage, and that could forfeit the match essentially on his very first turn to taking 500 damage of his own card effect. There's a huge risk to be had.
Yeah, maybe he's going to be siding them out. I'm a bit confused, to be honest, because I thought that he had already sided and shuffled, but apparently he shuffled first, now he's siding, and then he's shuffling again, I guess.
Well, he may have wanted to make some further last-minute changes.
Yeah, he changed his mind about some cards. There is...
3 spells by the look of things coming out. He's taking out the instant fusion. He doesn't want to have to pay 1,000 life points. He's also sided out the soul charge. He wants to remove any of those cards that could be in his opening hand and drop him life points before he gets to have his first battle phase.
So Luke Parks very aware of the clock. He knows exactly what this whole thing could come down to. And here are some guesses that Luke might be going second in the chat. What do you think? Who's going to go first? Or who's Luke going to allow to go first?
It's really difficult to say. It's likely that Francesco will have sided into Evenly Matched and the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode, so it's possible that if Luke really is keeping track of how long is left on the clock, he will force Francesco to play second and force Francesco to play first. And if that is the case, Francesco appears to be taking a very long time about shuffling here, perhaps deliberately running down the clock, and that could work against him. Francesco could be digging his own grave here if Luke chooses to opt to play second himself.
But if Francesco has something like a Licorice to deal some damage, and Luke cannot find a way to deal damage on Francesco's first turn...
Well, Francesco, if playing first here, a Licorice wouldn't be enough, because whilst the first turn Gouki boards take a long time to put together, it's unlikely that any hand of Trickstar Sky Striker could take more than 5 minutes to pass over the turn.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be exciting.
Who will we see playing first here? This could be really, really pivotal to the outcome of the tournament.
What's going to be the opening hands? Terraforming Trickstar Licorice. First 2 cards coming in. Neospatian Aquadolphin, he left them in for Luke Park. Skooky Rematch, Gookie Suprex, Gookie Twist Cobra, and Gookie Octo Stretch. That's a lot of Gookie cards.
So Luke has chosen to play first.
And he goes
Are there
first.
any low attack monsters in hand for Francesco?
There's this Licorice, which is not low attack. There's a Phantom Sky Blaster.
What is the attack value of the Sky Blaster?
1,100.
Okay, so if we see a mid-combo activation of the Aquadolphin, it potentially could get summoned out by a Firewall if we ever reach that stage. Obviously, Infinite Impermanence threatens to shut down the combo before we get to that point. But with Gookie Rematch in hand for Luke Parks, he really has all of the options available to him, and one Infinite Impermanence unlikely to be enough to really stop things here. The Impermanence being played on the first effect of Assault. That will mean that Luke is able to then activate his rematch, summon some new warriors, make a new Isolde, and still resolve that effect to special summon the Octostretch from the deck. It's looking really promising for Luke Parks here. I think we might.
Yeah, I think Francesco was pulling the trigger a little bit too early here. Maybe he thought this is my only out if I can stop my opponent dead in his tracks, hoping that he doesn't have all of the cards. Sometimes he draws into a couple of hand traps. But maybe Luke Parks saw this coming, sided out all the hand traps, sided out all the dead cards or dead-ish cards, stuff like Instant Fusion, and now the rematch.
It feels like Francesco has played his Infinite Impermanence at a really inopportune moment there. If he played it on the normal summon of the Suprex, he could have prevented the Assault from first hitting the board, leaving the rematch dead in hand. If he'd waited for the second effect of the Assault, he would have prevented that summon from the deck, but this is the one time when he plays his Infinite Impermanence, and it really doesn't seem to be doing anything. Luke, not even caring that he won't get to resolve the effect to summon from the deck, he just wants to ditch the Phoenix Blade.
Yeah, he should be happy with how that turned out. He might just be thinking, okay, is my opponent holding on to so many good cards that he can still turn this around, even though he pulled the trigger a little bit too early with that Infinite Impermanence? Or am I really winning this right now? Am I really going to be able to just get this thing underway? And it is going to be coming home for the first time ever.
Yeah, with more and more Gookie cards available to Luke in hand, he can just keep going. He'll get to his Firewall, he'll get to a Nightmare Goblin. He can just keep putting more and more monsters onto the board here. That one negation from the Infinite Impermanence isn't going to slow him down.
No, you have to play through one negation. We said this earlier today or even yesterday. If you want to have a foot in the door in the first place of advancing to the top cut in a tournament like this one, your deck needs to be able to play through one negation. If you want to go further than this, like the top 8 or something, you need to be playing through 2 negations. If you want to win the tournament, sometimes that means you need to be able to play through 3 negations.
The critical factor here that Luke might be overlooking is that there isn't long left on the clock.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's fully aware of the clock here. So he is, I'm not saying he's taking his time, but he's not on lightning speed. He's not on Christopher Nielsen speed right now.
No, this is no machine gun Gookie that we've been seeing in the past.
And maybe we should just double check with the judges if the clock is correct or if for whatever reason there's extra time.
So we see that there's the Neospatian Aquadolphin in hand here. Did we see an activation of the Nightmare Goblin on the summon? I think we did, so we'll have an additional normal summon for the Aquadolphin here.
Is that Aquadolphin going to backfire?
No, the attack of his Gookie Suprex, greater than the attack of the monsters in hand for Francesco. 500 burn damage will be administered, and I think that might be effectively the last play of the game. Luke can just continue to combo off at the start of this first turn after dealing some damage. Only 1 minute left on the clock. Luke just needs to continue making plays here. If he builds his board for the next just 1 minute without getting administered any slow play penalties, which is the only real way that he can be losing this game at this point. So he should be absolutely doing everything in his power not to take that option.
This is absolutely crazy because
this is going to be
we've had this
game
discussion
over
the entire weekend. Is Neospatian Aquadolphin a good card or not? In this particular situation, Neospatian Aquadolphin might have just won the finals of the European Championship for Luke Parks, and you can see it in his face.
Can we pull up the text on the Aquadolphin there?
Yes. Once per turn, you can discard one card, look at your opponent's hand, and choose one monster. If you control a monster with attack greater than or equal to the attack of the chosen card, which was the case, destroy the chosen card, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent.
We see now that 500 damage has finally been updated on the live readout here. Luke ahead on life points with 10 seconds left until the end of the match.
And we actually get a live countdown from the crowd, who is counting down what's going to happen in the finals. They are under the impression that Luke Parks has won this. Luke Parks is shaking. He's shaking and extending the hand. He's offering his opponent the handshake.
Francesco
like,
just checking the life points.
He's like, do you have anything or not? He does not. And that means Luke Parks is your 2018 European champion. For the first time ever, we have a British champion in the European Championship. He's heading over to our analyst desk. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. This was one of the greatest finals we've ever seen.
It was so much fun, sat behind the casting desk this weekend, and what a climax to the whole event.
It was an honor casting matches with you, Tom. Thank you so much. Great job this weekend.
Thank you to you too.
We hope you had fun. Let's take you guys to the analyst's desk where Luke and Matt are going to be talking with your new European champion, Luke Parks from the UK.
Hello and welcome back. Here we are with our European champion, Luke Parks.
Hi.
Congratulations, the first UK European champion. How do you feel?
Great. I mean, I'm sure it'll sink in at some point, but like, yeah, it was
It's not
awesome,
synced in now, is it? It's not synced in.
Like,
this is your trophy.
It was horrible, but I love it. Like, shout out to Dolphin, I guess.
Yeah, did you ever expect Neospatian Aquadolphin in 2018 deciding a European championship?
No, but I was really worried because I had to side out 3 instant fusion and soul charge, so I was just hoping to God I didn't brick.
Yeah, I must say, towards the end of that game, we were thinking, whoa, he's siding all this stuff out and the hand traps are going in. Is he maybe going to go second?
No, I was never going second. I was just like...
We thought it's crazy.
God damn, draw a Dolphin, please.
Yeah.
And it got you there. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was worried about him having no monsters, though. Like, if he had no monsters, I was like, well, I guess I lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a heck of a run. That was 2-0 in all of your top cut matches, right?
Was that game 2 or game 3?
That was game... Oh, that was game 3. Because the first time you got took to game 3.
Okay.
So...
Yeah. Would you like to lift your trophy?
Yes.
Okay.
Please don't break it.
I'll try my best.
Here you go. Lift it up in the air. The crowd are going insane here, guys. That's going to be it from us.
Yeah, that is the last time you're going to hear from us this season. We'll be back in
Good
Tokyo.
job, Matt.
Thank you, Luke. Have a good time.
Congratulations.
The pair of you. Enjoy Tokyo. It's a great place.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And that's it from us here at the European Championships with the first ever European champion from the UK. We'll be back with more live coverage from the European side on the 200th YCS at Utrecht, but please do not miss the World Championships in Japan. See you guys soon.
Take care, guys. Have fun.